I deleted my social media 3 years ago, and the results were surprising, if I'm going to be honest. I've been detoxed for 3 years straight, and what I found out wasn't your usual things. Now let me ask you a question. How many people do you think you can recall right now? Names, faces, core memories. And I'm talking when sweaty palm meets sweaty palm. Are you recalling their name?
It's nice to see you again. Zach.
Or do you struggle to recall their name? Knees weak, arms heavy, vomit on your sweater already. Moms, well, if you can't remember them, that's actually not your fault. There's science on your side. There was a guy named Robin Dunbar, and he theorized, which I call that science, that you can only remember up to 150 people, names, faces, core memories, until you have to start cycling them out. So if you don't remember someone's name, well, my brain is telling me you're not important to me. And I point this out because I think social media has done something Robin Dunbar could have never imagined. And I actually think this is best explained with the most gut-wrenching thing I've ever seen on social media. You see, the day was just like any other day. I woke up, went to the kitchen with my phone open, listening to whatever the algorithm was feeding me at the time, and started to make breakfast until I stumbled across this short video.
And I don't have to have any sadness, and Daddy's gonna be here to take care of you, but I'll always be with you. Where am I when you can't see me or feel me? In your heart, I'll always be in your heart. You'll miss me, I'll miss you.
Oh, that's awful.
That's funny. I like that.
And right there at the moment of peak sadness, I just moved on like nothing happened. So one thing I realized after deleting social media is how much I was stressing the natural state of my brain. You see, Robin Dunbar's theory is generally true, right? You only have so much emotional capacity to deal with people in your life. And I say deal in like a good way, of course. But if you go all the way back to like ancient times, people were generally in small tribes or small towns, and word spread throughout that town of what somebody was going through. But when there wasn't some tragedy going on, there was celebration. And this is the horrifying thing I realized about social media, is that in times where you should be celebrating, you don't have much tragedy going on in your life, people are doing great, you're being fed stories from millions of people, not a small tribe of 150. So although you should be celebrating, you're actually being fed tragedy. And it was zapping my emotional capacity so that by the time I actually got to tragedy, I've been in tragedy all year. I had horrible, horrifying stories that were not meant for me. These tragedies were meant for a small group of maybe 20 families to come around that person and support them and uplift them in a time of need. But instead, it was also uploaded for millions of people. Now I have access to millions of people's tragedies, and I can't even support them. So I just move on. Honestly, I saw this all through my wife's pregnancy. At one point, I was like, hey babe, I think you should delete social media until the baby's here. At least until the baby's here. She's like, yeah, I think that's a good idea, because the algorithm will mess you up, dog. My algorithm is like, oh, you're having a baby? Here's a bunch of babies dying. Now, I like to propose that we don't really got that much time to be stressing about all these other people's problems. In a world of empathy and, awareness and just wanting to be a warrior for everybody, it's like you can't. That's not realistic. That's a 12-year-old Twitter, TikTok comment thing to say. Is that let's be real. You can't be that empathetic. That's why you see awful things on the news, and we just keep it pushing. So instead of feeling conflicted about somebody else's problem, I just got off of social media, and it was really, really good. I was like, oh sweet, there's all these people I don't have to care about anymore. And that's a good thing. Quality over quantity of relationships. When you have social media, there's an infinite amount of quantity and the complete inverse of quality, just zero quality whatsoever. Just comments of people being like, wow, you're so brave, you're so strong. That doesn't mean anything. And then I remember one day I saw another video, and this one wasn't heartbreaking, but it was honestly horrifying. And I'll see if I can find it and throw it on here. But what I saw was a calendar type thing, and it was a bunch of dots. And I forget if it was every day or every month, but it showed you how many months or how many days you have in a visual dot form, like fillable dot form, in your entire life if you were to live the average lifespan. And it showed, okay, fill in this many dots for all the time that you're sleeping. And it filled in quite a bit. And I was like, okay, we have to sleep, so I'm not stressing about that. Happy about that one, actually. Then it was fill in the dots for how often you'll be working. And that one actually wasn't too bad. I was like, okay, cool. It filled in a bit, you know, but it wasn't as much as I was expecting. I was like, oh, wow. This whole like work-life balance thing, it seems like we got actually a lot of balance. There's all these other dots. And then it said, based off of the average amount of time Gen Z spends on their phones, and I would argue everybody with phones. The rest of the dots is filled in with screen time. Obviously there's some like room for error there. It's like if someone works on a computer, does that count as screen time? If someone's working out but listening to Spotify, Apple will also count that as screen time. So there's some room for error there, but that was horrifying. That was sobering. So there's this reality there that I think is best explained with some ancient wisdom. Your life is like the morning fog. It is here a little while, and then it is gone. Being in Southern California at the beach, there is always a morning overcast over the ocean. And it is quite literally here for a little while, and then it is gone. So reading that verse always extra emphasized, my life is just a vapor. Just like I could wake up and count on the clouds disappearing by noon, my life is short. That's a crazy blue helicopter, buddy.
Yeah, so anyway, wedding planning's going pretty good. We're kind of booking our last few vendors and, you know, everything's just going really well right now, but there is one problem that we've been having, and it's just like the financial aspect of it. You know, everything is so expensive nowadays. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Man, are you even listening?
What? What I noticed after getting off social media wasn't just being present and like having and being polite and having good conversations. Well, all that stuff is good. What I also noticed was how much more stuff I remembered. And this is a scary one. Social media Alzheimer's, which is this idea that we spend, let's say you doom scroll for 30 minutes, right? You're scrolling. At the very end, stop and ask yourself, if you can remember one thing that you saw. There probably wasn't much. If anything, it's actually very easy to scroll, give all of your attention to a phone, yet not remember a single piece of content you watched. So it's not just I became more present after I got social media. While that is true, it's I also started remembering more of my life. Things were just more memorable. They were more like pictures, like little Hallmark movies in my brain, because I was actually absorbing them with my eyes and living my life. So while presence with friends and community is a really good thing, and I highly encourage it, and it is one of the major benefits, it's also just like, dog, you're not really living. And that sounds corny, but like you're literally not. You don't remember your day because you were on social media all day. What did you do? I don't know. You don't know what you did in the past 8 hours? 12 hours? You were only awake for 12 hours? That was a scary feeling. And once I realized that, I was like, oh, I'm done. Take it. Take my phone. Throw it away. That was horrifying. If you want to know 3 reasons you never finish projects, click this video right here.